Right, so here's my setup. Derusting the VFR750F tank. It's a Gen 3, 1993. I purchased it. It was full of old stale gas, and so I had to clean out that gas and basically, I don't know, degrease the inside of the tank using a bunch of solvent. I used mineral spirits, actually a mixture, mineral spirits, some lacquer thinner, whatever kind of leftover quart or pint cans I had of various solvents I've had over the years, collected and kind of made it a medley cocktail, shoved it all in. This is the petcock port, which I've plugged with, it's an expansion plug. There's also the fuel sending unit, which is an even bigger diameter one. That's a different size. It looks like a 1 1/4 for that, and I think this one's a 7/8. Anyways, those two are plugged up. I took out that assembly. It was kind of nasty, but I think it could be salvaged, I hope, because parts aren't easy to come by. This is a vent in case you overfill your tank. You ever wonder what happens when you overfill your tank and it doesn't necessarily spill over the side of the tank? What it does is it goes down this hole, and it goes inside a tube that's inside the tank. There's a tube inside the tank that passes through and comes out this over here. So yeah, all the tubes are, I guess some of it goes down there and some of it goes back there. So right now I had soaked it in vapor rust for a day, and I noticed inside that there was some rust on some tubes. You know, there's a tube here, and it turns out there's another vent in there, and that vent comes in from the bottom. This is actually a small tube which I've taped up with some silicone tape to seal it off because it was kind of weeping out of there depending on how I had the tank oriented. Anyways, that tube goes, and I imagine it stops somewhere inside near the top of the tank, probably at this level, not quite the top, but here at the rim. Anyways, there's some gap inside there where the tube stops. I believe that's a vent, and just make sure that the gas can flow when it needs to. So that vent, the outside of that tube and this main overfill drain tube were crusty on the outside, and I could see them, you know, basically kind of going forward to this forward side of the tank. So anyways, I've tipped it up. The liquid, the vapor rust is basically at this level now. It's this half of the tank. And I'm gonna let it sit like this for a day and then take a look at it. It's really hard to get pictures inside. It's just so dark and can't get the camera in there. But I could feel it. I could feel like how crusty it was on the tube, and I can kind of see once I shoved a flashlight in there. Anyways, this is my setup. This helps hold the tank in whatever orientation I need it to be in. And it's basically a plastic tub, catch any overspill of the vapor rust stuff. It's non-toxic, but it's actually been helpful. When I'm filling the tank, of course, there's some overspillage. I can capture that, pour it through a filter, and reuse it, or continue to use it. This plastic bin, and then I've lined it with foam too, just to protect. This paint is pristine, so I don't want that to get damaged. And so that's kind of what the setup is for now. The tank's pretty heavy, so what a gallon of water is roughly, it's water-based. This vapor rust stuff is water-based. It's about, what, 8.5 gallons, 8.5 pounds a gallon, 2 gallons. That's, you know, what, 17 pounds. And then plus the tank itself, probably another 4 pounds maybe. So it's like 20, 25 pounds, bulky to hold, sharp edges, you know, when you're shaking it around or rotating. Oh, the other thing I want to show, when I was doing the de-scrubbing, degreasing, this is what I had in it. This was my handful of hardware I put in. These are stainless steel standoffs that I had lying around, and I counted them. So basically I had 70 of these things. They kind of have sharpish edges to help scrape. They were all loose. They weren't screwed together the way I have them now, but you know, I made sure to count so that I did get them all out. It's not like I couldn't hear them, but just for sanity check, I kept track of how many were in there and made sure the same amount came out. So these were all shoved in there, and I had shook the tank, had it soaking in solvent. I'd let that work over a week, just soaking and rocking it for like 5-10 minutes every day, and got that done. And then now we're on to the de-rusting side of things. So first, you know, in order for that vapor rust stuff to work, you have to make sure that there is no grease inside, because it is water-based, and water and oil don't mix. So you have to get off all the shellac and solids and fuel, clean it out really well. Let me show you what that looks like. I wish I had before and after pictures, but this was the leftover. It's kind of weird in that it looks like it's, well, you can see a lot of solids down there, right? And then this other stuff that looks like reminds me of miso. I think that is like the solids from the gas that have kind of somewhat dissolved. So there's rust in there. There are solids from old gas. And then of course the solvent that I used to soak it. That's sitting over there. And I'm just kind of letting it evaporate. So anyways, that is what my tank cleaning setup is.